Quaithe, also known as Quaithe of the Shadow, appeared in the second season in only a few scenes, and it was more than enough to realize that she has some special capabilities, some sort of supernatural abilities. She appeared a bit more in the books, and there she also seems to wield magical powers of prophecy and clairvoyance, which she proved with her knowledge about Jorah being a former spy for King Robert, with her knowledge about Zarazun Daxos and Pyat Priest's theft over Daenerys' dragons. Just like Melisandre, Quaithe is also a shadowbinder, capable of manipulating shadows to their will. Quaithe is described as a woman with wet and shiny eyes who wears a dark red lacquered wooden mask. When Dany sees Quaithe in a vision during a dance with dragons, she describes the mask as being made of starlight. Quaithe appears to Dany on multiple occasions throughout the books and usually comes with a prophecy or warning. To go north, you must journey south. To reach the west, you must go east. To go forward, you must go back, and to touch the light, you must pass beneath the shadow. Quaithe to Daenerys. In other words, Quaithe says to go north and reach the west, you must journey south and go east. To go forward, you must go back, and to touch the light, you must pass beneath the shadow. Interpretation of this prophecy would be to reach Westeros and achieve your goals, you must follow the stream southeast. Move forward by revisiting the past of the Dothraki. To learn to fly Drogon, you must earn his trust, all of which came true. Quaithe, through prophecies, also warns Dany about her events that are to come. The glass candles are burning. Soon comes the Pale Mare, and after her the others. Kraken and Dark Flame, Lion and Griffin, the Sun's Son and the Mummer's Dragon. Trust none of them. Remember the Undying. Beware the perfumed Seneschal. Quaithe to Daenerys. The Pale Mare is another name from the bloody flux disease. Shortly after the prophecy, the disease begins sickening and killing people inside and outside the marine. The others suggest that the figures mentioned next are just as dangerous. Kraken is Greyjoy that is on his way to Meereen. Dark Flame is the priest of Lore also coming to Meereen. Lion is Tyrion Lannister on his way to Meereen at the time of the prophecy. Griffin in the books is Jon Connington, also known as Griff. At the time he wasn't on his way to Meereen but Westeros. Presumably she will encounter him at one point. The Sun's Son is the son of Prince of Dorne, who's on his way to Meereen at the time of the prophecy. The Mummer's Dragon is Aegon, and to suggest that Aegon is not true Targaryen, since Mummers is an actor. All of these people represent a potential danger for Dany, so Quaithe warns her about them. Unlike Melisandre, Quaithe doesn't interpret the prophecy herself, but rather lets Dany to decide what does it mean and what she should do about it. Still, there's very little known about Quaithe other than the fact that she seems to be deeply invested in Dany for no apparent reason. So who truly is Quaithe and what does she want? According to some fans, Quaithe is Ashara Dayne. Lady Ashara Dayne was the beautiful sister of Sir Arthur Dayne, the Sword of the Morning. Like Quaithe, Ashara is shrouded in mystery, although she is mentioned a lot in Song of Ice and Fire. And when author George R. R. Martin mentions someone as much as he mentions Ashara, they will probably have a big part to play in the story to come. Ashara was present at the Great Tourney at Harrenhal, which set the stage for Game of Thrones. There she met Ned, and they, according to many characters, fell in love. According to the entire Dayne family, Ashara and Ned Stark truly did fall in love at Harrenhal. Lady Alyria Dayne, Ashara's younger sister, believes this. Lord Edric Dayne, also known as Ned, the current Lord of Starfall, Ashara, Alyria, and Sir Arthur's nephew, also believe this. In Storm of Swords, he tells Arya about his family, about how his aunt Ashara committed suicide over her broken heart. He then hesitantly tells Arya that his aunt Alyria told him that Ashara and Eddard fell in love at the Great Tourney at Harrenhal. Edric is surprised that Eddard never spoke of her. In A Dance with Dragons, Sir Barristan Selmy remembers the Great Tourney at Harrenhal. I'm quoting, "Even after all these years, Sir Barristan could still recall Ashara's smile, the sound of her laughter. He had only to close his eyes to see her, with her long hair tumbling about her shoulders and those haunting purple eyes. Daenerys has the same eyes. Sometimes when the queen looked at him, he felt as he were looking at Ashara's daughter. But Ashara's daughter had been stillborn, and his fair lady had thrown herself from a tower soon after, mad with grief for the child she had lost, and perhaps for the man who had dishonored her at Harrenhal as well. She died never knowing that Sir Barristan had loved her. How could she? He was a knight of the Kingsguard sworn to celibacy. No good could have come from telling her his feelings. No good came from the silence as well. If I had a horse Rhaegar and crowned Ashara Queen of Love and Beauty, might she have looked at me instead of Stark? Barristan says she was dishonored by a Stark, but his version is biased due to the feelings he had for her. But Harwin gives us more neutral take when talking to Arya. Harwin is a member of the household guard of Lord Eddard Stark at Winterfell, and he did give us a better insight regarding the relationship between Ned and Ashara. Lady Ashara Dayne. It's an old tale, that one. I heard it once at Winterfell, when I was older than you're now. I doubt there's any truth to it, but if there is, what of it? When Ned met this Dornish lady Ashara, his brother Brandon was still alive, and it was him engaged to Lady Catelyn, so there's no stain on your father's honor. There's not like a tourney to make the blood run hot, so maybe some words were whispered in the tent of a night, who can say? Words or kisses, maybe more, but where's the harm in that? Spring had come, or so they thought, and neither of them was pledged. Harwin to Arya Stark. Beside Ashara Dayne herself, House Dayne in general is shrouded in mystery. One of the oldest houses in Westeros, House Dayne's sigil is a sword and a falling star. its seat is Starfall. When Quaithe, Ashar Dane or House Dane are mentioned in A Song of Ice and Fire, there's usually a reference to the stars. This is why many people believe there's a connection between Quaithe and the Danes of Starfall. Daenerys on a couple of occasions, instead of saying that she hears Quaithe, she says she hears the whispering of stars, or as another quote says, the stars whispered in a woman's voice. The stars whispering could be the reference to the Danes, as their sigil is a sword and a falling star. Speaking of a falling star, Ashar Dane is said to have thrown herself from a tower on a cliff in Starfall, making her a falling star. But why would Ashar disguise as Quaithe, follow Daenerys, and try to warn her about the upcoming events? There are two theories. One is that Ashar is actually Dany's real mother and Ned Stark is her father. A few days ago I made a full video regarding this theory, but in case you missed it, let's point out the most important hints, clues and evidence supporting this theory. We know that Ashar shared a dance with Ned, while some claim that they also fell in love and shared a night together. We also know that Ashar was, as Sir Barstan calls it, dishonored by a Stark at Harrenhal, and we know that Ashar shortly after gave birth to a daughter. And lastly, it's been pointed out numerous times how Dany resembles Ashar a lot. As I already said, I made a full video regarding this theory, so if you'd like to hear more evidence supporting it, feel free to check out my recent videos. Another theory says that Ashar and Ned don't necessarily need to be Dany's parents. It states that a lot more happened than we think when Ned visited Starfall after the Tower of Joy, that Ned knew about the prophecy of the prince that was promised, and the fact that Ned knew the winter is coming. So Ned explained this to the Danes, who are also very important in the prophecy. The evidence for the Danes being important to the prophecy and the story in general is not only in George R. R. Martin's statements that confirm it, but it's simply in their legendary sword as well. The Sword of House Dane is called Dawn, and the person who is worthy to wield it receives the title the Sword of the Morning. Now let's hear those words again, Dawn and the Sword of the Morning. The Great War is here, but after the long night comes dawn and the morning. I know that we all believe everything has to be complicated in Game of Thrones, but sometimes things are actually quite simple and they are plain for all of us to see. Anyways, as the theory goes, Ned and the Danes agreed that Ashar would watch over Daenerys and get her on the right way. Beside House Dane's ancestral sword most likely having an important role in the Great War, George R. R. Martin confirmed himself an important role Danes are yet to have in the story. The Danes are still going to play an important role in the future, George R. R. Martin stated. This leads us to another George R. R. Martin's confirmation regarding the Danes. You'll see more Danes in the future books, that's all I can say. This could either mean that we will learn more of the Danes that are already introduced in the story, or we will see more new characters. Could it be that there are Danes that we already know of, but are not aware of them being Danes? Let's also point out the fact that George R. R. Martin confirmed himself George has worked out a whole family tree for House Dane, and it will be published in the future books. This means that something huge is coming, as only the great houses get family trees worked out. The fact that George R. R. Martin is waiting for the right time to publish this one means that there will likely be a huge twist regarding the Dane family. Could Ned Stark and Daenerys be placed in this family tree? Let me know your opinion about this in the comment section down below. Now that you've been introduced to a theory in which Quaithe is actually Ashar Dane, let's take a look on a theory in which Quaithe is Shiera Seastar. She was one of the infamous great bastards of King Aegon the Unworthy Targaryen. Shiera Seastar's name means Star of the Sea, and she is said to have been the most beautiful woman of the Seven Kingdoms. So beautiful that men across the realm fought to death for her love. None succeeded, including her half-brothers Brian and Bloodraven Rivers and Aegon Bittersteel Rivers, who fought on opposing sides during the Blackfyre Rebellion. Shiera never married but took many lovers, and numerous duels were fought for her favor. Her half-brother Bloodraven was her most eager suitor, and repeatedly proposed marriage to her. Although she refused to marry him, Shiera did share her bed with him. Her other half-brother Aegon Rivers, known as Bittersteel, also desired her, which only served to increase the hatred between Bloodraven and Bittersteel. There were rumors that Shiera used sorcery to aid Bloodraven when he served as Hand of the King and Master Whispers to King Aerys I Targaryen. Shiera's fate was never mentioned in the books. Shiera's sister was also reputed to share her mother's skill in the dark arts to retain her youth and beauty. One of the reasons people believe Quaithe is actually Shiera is because Shiera's name means Star of the Sea. In comparison, Quaithe's wooden mask is said to shine like starlight when Daenerys has a vision under the Tracky Sea. The fact that Shiera's surname is Seastar is another clue. Sailors used to follow a star called the Stella Maris, which means Star of the Sea. When Daenerys is on the Tracky Sea, she asks what Quaithe wants, and Quaithe responds with, "To show you the way." Quaithe wants to guide Daenerys along her journey under the Tracky Sea like the Stella Maris. Shiera's namesake guides sailors on the actual sea. The third theory regarding Quaithe's true identity is her being Daenerys herself. Theory states that Dany is actually a time traveler who goes back to warn herself in disguise. It's pretty much based on the fact that we don't know much of Quaithe, other than the fact that she seems to be deeply invested in Daenerys for no apparent reason. Think about it, when Dany arrives in Qarth, Quaithe immediately knows about the dangers awaiting her there and warns her. When Danny tells her to elaborate, Quaithe cryptically responds, "To go north you must go south, to reach the west you must go east, to go forward you must go back, and to touch the light you must pass beneath the shadow." Through the prophecy, she basically tells her how to reach her goals. The theory also relies to the fact that Quaithe hides her face, while other shadowbinders like Milsanja for example doesn't. There's the reason she hides her face, and according to this theory it's because it's the